Hello everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Last time, we attempted to land a test version of our previous shuttle, and after that failed and crashed into the ground near the KSC, killing one Kerbal, we went into the space plane hangar. We did not build this particular spaceship or spacecraft last episode. We attempted to build a new version, but then I realized, oh, I do indeed have the old, well-built-ish version. I fixed the action groups, I improved it slightly, and now we're out here on the launch pad. Merman Kerman will be our test pilot for today, and we're going to see how well this craft performs. Basic launch, no mech jeb. We are indeed going up. Excellent. We will bring out the ascent guidance and engage that, allowing it to take over. Doing good so far. We do indeed still have our engine deactivation system. Having to turn off engines much earlier, but for this version I do have the engines toggleable, so when these side engines break away, I will still have the ability to turn these back on if needed, as they run out of fuel. We should not be using any of this fuel just yet. No. All these tanks, yes. Not sure how MechJeb will handle this craft, if it'll properly stage, or if I've even got the staging set up properly. Certainly looks like I do. There we go. Let's turn some of these engines back on. Alright, we lean over. We will begin our gravity turn any second now. Yes, any second now. Hello? There we go. So the ship slightly begins to turn over. Let's see how our apoapsis is doing. Only up to 17, but that should be alright. If I recall correctly, this entire thing should get into orbit just fine. I believe I even took one of these to the moon and landed it. It wasn't the most beautiful landing, it wasn't VTOL or anything, I just kind of came in backwards and then plopped it down on its wheels at the last second, considering the moon does not have huge amounts of gravity to pull us down. Sorry about that, had to sneeze. So you can see, starting to have to push with that RCS, so we're going to deactivate a couple engines, allowing our ship to tilt over much more easily. If this was a more realistic space shuttle like the ones in reality, this ship would currently have these engines angled out, pushing this entire system up into space. But of course, this isn't a realistic space shuttle. This game doesn't even simulate realistic much of anything. It's fairly reasonable at orbital stuff, but the aerodynamic system, as we've covered before, is terrible. So I don't try to go for realism. If they're not going for realism, neither am I. It certainly is fun, though. Unlike the Mark III cockpit, the Mark II here has a fully fleshed out interior. None of the screens work. None of the buttons really work either. But there's mods to fix that. The throttle works. The SAS buttons work, wherever those are, if I recall. Navball works, but that's about it. I really do hope they flesh out those interiors quite a bit more later on. Still burning up. As you can see, the engines here are giving it a good push occasionally, but nothing too bad. We'll hit 7 here. Cut off a couple more engines. Interesting, I don't remember having those connected to number 7. I don't mind, that's alright. We'll be releasing the payload here when we get to orbit anyways. We're going to hit 6 now. Deactivating the large engine, activating all of the small ones. Ooh. Deactivated the wrong one there. Alright, there we go. Whoa, okay. That's not good. Yeah, let's see if we can retract those solar panels. I'm going to have to look at the staging a bit more after this, because quite frankly, that is ridiculous. If we hit 7 one more time, will that retract all these? No! That's bad! So before we release the payload, I'm going to have to retract all of these solar panels as well as the dish. Ooh, I'm not sure I'll be able to. Ah, there we go. Retract that. Have this point programmed with a force rule of 0, and then wait for that to settle down. Excellent. I also forgot to put struts to this satellite, so it's been wiggling all over the place during this entire launch. Quite happy it didn't rip itself out of the cargo bay into a free fall. Alright. I'm just glad it didn't rip the cargo bay apart. That would have been very bad for our pilot Merman Kerman here. Let's just close all of the MechJeb windows, because they can get quite annoying sometimes. Taking up all the space. Retract. Oop. Damn it. Oh no, I've got the antennas. I don't think the antennas have hitboxes, but we'll see. Let's open the cargo bay here. Let's decouple our node. Switch to the payload. RCS. Thrusters. Ooh, do we not have any control? We don't. No, yes we do. Oh, we forgot to turn on RCS. No wonder. There we go. There we are. Now we can hit 7, deploying... Or was it 6? There we go. There we go. Deploying all of our interesting looking things. Ugh. Trying to get everything to deploy at once. Ooh, now that... Okay, so if we retract that... No, retract the dish, please. Okay, hold on. Mech-Jeb, help me out here. I need you pointed prograde, please. Retract that singular panel. Retract the dish, if I can reach the little stick. There we go. Now, as intended, we hit 6, and all of the fun things come out. Much better, alright. We can now jettison these panels here and move this into whatever orbit we want. Right now, we'll just leave it here at the 100-kilometer orbit. Switch back to our shuttle with Merman Kerman. I quite like that name. That's a good Kerbal name. Alright, so let's point retrograde now. Do a backflip. Do a barrel roll. Switch back to our staging. As you can see, this version does not have any docking system. It is not a docking shuttle, it is a satellite deployment shuttle. Alright, let me think here. We need to bring up our landing guidance. Let's target the KSC pad and land there. We will indeed use the rest of the fuel in this main tank, as well as these two small ones connected to our lifter engines. Simply because we don't need that fuel. Actually, we might. Because if the fuel runs out of there, the center of mass will move forward, leaving the center of lift behind it, which is bad. We don't want that. Draining from this last small fuel tank in the back. Excellent. Now we're coming for a more angled burn. Still draining from that final tank. Which is just fine with me. As you can see, just these two firing now. Excellent. Oh. Doesn't know what to do, does it? Alright, let's abort the Autoland. We just wanted to get into a nice landing pattern at the KSC. Daytime this time. No nighttime problems like last time. Now, let's get rid of that. Letting it go on its merry way. So, alright, so that only activated one nuclear engine. Let's activate the other one here. Again, didn't put a whole lot of time into those, because quite frankly, I don't think I'll need them. Let's bring that down to just off the coast. About there will do. Prograde. Oh yes, I did a terrible job with those hotkeys. Which engine is that? Let's deactivate that engine, activate our atmospheric engines. Make sure these are open, yes. Turn on the light just for nice effects. And wait. Sorry about that, bumped my mic. That happens. So, I was told from my previous videos that headphone users find the music too loud and my voice not loud enough, so I boosted my mic volume slightly. Hopefully that fixes that problem. We'll see. If not, it doesn't matter. I don't edit these videos at all, really. I just upload them as they are because I'm not professional. I'm not professional and nobody watches. Well, not nobody. No one except for people I know and my friends watch this stuff. So honestly, I don't think they mind the lack of editing and slightly wonky volume settings, even though I did get pretty close. For some of my first recordings in years, I got fairly close sound levels, so I'm quite proud of that. Getting ready to enter the atmosphere. Atmospheric effects taking hold. Going to hit kill rotation. Turn it off. Hit the normal computer. Pull back a wee bit so we can get a better glide on this. I have not tested the gliding or flying for this craft from orbit yet, so we're going to find out how this works together. Just coming in here. Merman Kerman doing just fine. Looking at them gauges and whatnot and screens that don't work. All the large red buttons. And we're in the atmosphere. Not on the side of the mountains I'd want to be on, but we should make it over those. No real problem. Let's just throttle all the way up. This ship taking the throttle a lot better than the last one just because the center of thrust and the center of mass are in line, where previously the engines were below the center of mass, meaning it wanted to do backflips, and that's not fun. We're going to easily make it over these mountains. With no problems. Still slowing down. Not sure how fast this craft will go once the speed of deorbit wears off, but hopefully fast enough to keep it in the air. At least in the air long enough to get us to the Kerbal Space Center. If not, we could touch down in this large field. Slightly lower chance of death for Merman Kerman, considering we've made it over the mountains. The mountains that we crashed into in the first episode. Let's bring that to surface speed. Still slowing down. If you recall, our other shuttle gets to about 100 meters a second and holds around 90 to 100. This one looks like it's gonna be about the same. Still dropping altitude. But also, if you recall, that shuttle has 4 of these. This one only has 2. That other shuttle also much heavier, requiring those engines to keep it going. If push comes to shove, honestly, I could just turn on some other engines and get us going a bit quicker. Holding at about a 200 meters a second. Not bad. Coming down a bit, considering I pointed my nose down a bit. Whew. I think we're in the long haul here. Let's time warp a wee bit just to get us closer to the KSC a little faster. I wouldn't recommend this usually, because when you go into and out of time warp, terrible, terrible things can happen. And by terrible, I mean Kerbal killing things. So you can see the ship kind of wibbling and wobbling around, coming up much higher, getting more lift than usual. Coming back down out of time warp, we're getting much closer to the KSC, so let's push our nose down a bit. Burn off a bit of our altitude, because we don't need it. There we go. Let's twist a wee bit to this direction. Ooh. That nose still definitely wanting to go upwards, like our previous version. Even though this is not that previous version of either this style shuttle or our Mark III version. Bring down some gear as we lose. Woo! That's not good. Prograde, please. Throttle up. Hit our other engines. All engines, please. Ooh. Well, I think we can safely say we would have made it if I hadn't tried to burn off so much altitude in such a short amount of time. Yeah, let's, we're not gonna revert flight this time. I think we should be fine without Merman Kerman. I'll count that as a semi-successful launch, considering we did indeed get that satellite into orbit, but we did also lose Merman Kerman. My fault. Let's recover all of the debris and bits. Interesting. I don't remember the doors looking so dark. Oh well. Back to everything. Let's see, what else could we build and or launch and or destroy? Well, I think we're going to end that episode here, considering I can't think of anything small to do. We could move that satellite into a lunar orbit, send it to the moon. Shuttle Bacon probe? What is that? I'm not sure. Did we... Oh, I bet you that's that small connector we can't control. 'Cause I forgot to put computers on it. That's always fun. Let's go into the Arrowhead satellite here. There she is. Yes. It's very nice. Alright, so. Set the moon as our target. Where is it? kind of high on our horizon right now to be burning to an intercept, but we could still do that with no serious problems, I believe. Usually when I want to burn to the moon, I wait when it's about here-ish on the horizon, but we should still be able to make it. No problem. Light up our nuclear engine. The most fuel efficient of all of the KSP engines, I believe, or at least the most fuel efficient in space. I do quite like how it glows. It's a very nice engine. Coming back out to our view here. I do hope soon, considering they did add biome maps for all of the planets here in 0.90, as I will show you here. There we go. So they added all of the biome maps for all the rocky bodies in the game. I do hope they add their own little mapping system. As much as I love MapSat, or ScanSat, or whatever they've named it now, I enjoy playing with the tools of stock. You can never quite make anything as good as the visions of the creators of the game. Unless it's MechJeb, because honestly the creators of the game didn't want an autopilot, or did not want to make their own autopilot. Which slightly disappoints me. They want the players of the game to learn how to launch spaceships, learn how to send them into interplanetary orbits, rendezvous with other planets, rendezvous with moons. They want people to learn how to do these things within their game, greater increasing their understanding of real rocket science. Honestly, I don't really understand anything. I've just learned how to get things to do what I want. And that's enough for me. Enough for me to find this game enjoyable. Alright, as we come into our encounter with the moon, a very weird encounter, to say the least, but a very nice one. Get our ship to point retrograde here. We will indeed burn now to cut back a whole lot of our speed. We don't want to shoot away from the moon, as well as bring down our periapsis. I like the periapsis to be around 10,000 meters, 10 kilometers. Just because you get that real low, nice looking lunar orbit. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, let's go 20 for this satellite. We'll keep facing retrograde, but we will indeed time warp to much closer to our periapsis. So you can see a lot of time warp gets you not nearly as far as you'd imagine. Time warp being speeding up the time of the game. As you time warp, physics turn off, so you could and has been shown that you may time warp and get two spacecraft to float through each other. I'm not a fan of doing that. As non-realistic as this game is, I still like to maintain some level of normality. So we're at about 20. Let's bring this down. 6, 5. Whoa. Let's throttle back a bit. 24, 17. That should be good enough. Good enough for a random satellite around the moon. If we wanted to, we could decouple the nuclear engine. I don't think I'm going to. Just going to point prograde, or no, believe. No. I'm trying to remember which one is towards the planet. Negative rad, that should be it. Just pretend this is a mapping satellite and this big dish is shooting down or collecting some kind of Kerbal rays. Bounced off the planet. Back up into the dish to map the surface of the moon. But considering we're only in a polar orbit, that would only map the polar region of the moon. We'd have to go into not the polar, the equatorial region of the moon. We'd have to go into a polar orbit to get the entire planet or moon. But that should be good for now. Next time, I think I'm going to build something special for you guys. Something I have indeed built before, but it'll be interesting to watch me make that. Launch it, test it, blow it up. But for now, I'll leave you guys there. Head back to the Space Center. And I will see all of you fine folks next time. Goodbye!